I want to welcome you all again back to our day 2 of the Thriving Communities Regional Convening. My name is Stephanie Giddaby Jenkins, part of Communities First, and we're really excited to build on the progress from yesterday. Today, we're going to have a similar day, but probably just a little bit more packed, just the same. We're going to open up, and I want to bring up Benny Starr, who is an artist, a water art and cultural resident for the U.S. Water Alliance, and a hometown Southern boy from South Carolina who has been with us. We had him join us in Detroit, and we thought, there's no way we're coming to the South without him. So he'll be helping to MC throughout the day. I'll bring him up so that he may be able to offer us just the welcome and cultural grounding that the Good Fire folks will help to lead us in. Also want to just talk a little bit more about what to expect today. We will have, after the opening morning discussion, really just with a conversation with leaders in this region, and then we will also have a presentation from some of our federal partners at the White House level. Today marks the 2-year anniversary of the bipartisan infrastructure law. So we'll talk a little bit more about how some of these resources are helping to support communities. We'll go into a breakout discussion. And it's really now, because yesterday I think you got everything that you needed to understand what this moment means. Is that correct? Okay, that's awesome. So I think you're ready for day 2, where we're going to really start to think about how do we bring this all together. So it's our hope that you may be able to do some of these breakout sessions during lunch. We'll have the other agencies talk about how their work is coming together, and then we'll do some afternoon breakouts as well to bring it all together. By the latter half of the afternoon, we're hoping to have an activation session where we're going to bring all the conversations together and also break out by states so that we have a better understanding of how you all may be able to organize even after we are done with this. And then we will close out strong with a really great plenary that we're hoping to discuss. So with that, I'll bring up Benny Starr. Thank you.
Good morning. Good morning. How y'all doing this morning? That's really good. I grew up in South Carolina, a little small town in South Carolina called Pineville, where Lake Moultrie and Lake Marion, 2 biggest man-made lakes in South Carolina, where they converge. So my grandma always used to tell me, make sure before you come in the house, you take your shoes off. So I'm going to take my shoes off right here a little bit, and I really appreciate y'all welcoming me here to North Carolina. I currently live in Charlotte for the last 3 years, but I'm a South Carolina boy, so I really do appreciate being here with you all in North Carolina. And I'm an artist. And oftentimes, just as recently as maybe 3 or 4 years ago, I can remember a time when artists, being in rooms like this, being a part of conversations like this, were kind of dismissed, But I don't think we should be dismissed. The focus of my work over the past few years, I give you a little rundown. I hate to always lead with what you've done. We're so used to doing that when we meet people. Hi, I'm such and such. This is what I've done. But most recently, being an artist in residence with the U.S. Water Alliance, I became their senior fellow of arts and culture after that. Prior to that, I worked alongside brilliant movement attorneys, advocates, textile workers, artists, activists around the Cancel Pig for Debt campaign for black farmers to get black farmers the justice they need, which those black farmers are still, many of those elders have transitioned. Those discriminatory loans are still hanging over their heads. There are hundreds and hundreds of thousands, millions of acres of land that are still hanging in the balance for the black community, Done a lot of work around the intersection of arts, culture, environment, specifically in South Carolina and in Charleston, but my focus has been trying to whittle down, trying to get down to the crux of what and why arts and culture is so important. And it brings me back to this understanding of creativity. We think of creativity, we think of making something out of nothing, we think of imagination, we think of all these things, but I encourage you and I even challenge you to think of creativity as The intensively conscious human beings encounter with the world that thrusts them into a process of bringing something new and of value into existence. And that encounter with the world as a deeply conscious person can bring something new and of value into existence that looks like a new idea, a new way to love, a new way to be in relationship, a new form of art, a new form of collaboration. That has always been with us. Before we had our titles, we were a creative people. Before we had all of the resources, we were a creative people. Before we had our offices and before we had staffs, we were a creative people. We gravitate to the inherent capacity as human beings to be a creative people. It makes me think of a radical theologian. His name is Matthew Fox, and he said, creativity is divine intimacy that flows through us and is bigger than we are, and it pushes us to the edge and challenges us to grow larger. Okay? So I want you to think about all the encounters you will have today if we choose to accept that definition of creativity as the intensively conscious person's encounter with the world that throws them into a process of bringing something new and of value into existence. Think about every person that you'll connect with today, every experience that you'll have in here today. That is a possible encounter that you will experience as a deeply conscious person. And you will be transformed when you leave, because most likely the greatest piece of art or the greatest creative act is the way we continuously create and recreate ourselves. And we have to have courage in order to do that. I know that there's a lot of courage in this room. I can feel the energy in this room. I can feel the spirit here. And again, creativity as a divine intimacy that flows through us, pushing us to the edge and challenging us to grow larger. So I won't speak too long, but I'm thankful to be here with you all day. And I would now like to introduce to you all Dasan Ahanu, Jodi Lasseter, and Connie Leeper, North Carolina Climate Justice Collective, with the Good Fire Cultural Opening.
Good morning, everybody. Before I introduce the North Carolina Climate Justice staff and hub leaders to do this performance for you, I want to lift up all cultural workers, and I particularly want to lift up Spirit House, who's in the room, who does a lot of cultural work. And I want to appreciate the invitation from Communities First, from Helen and Stephanie and Melanie and Angela for asking us to be a part of this. So the Good Fire, this is an abbreviated version. It usually has lots of flats and lots of puppets and lots of people and lots of musicians. But we pared it down just so we could be creative and do a sample of the work that we do that is the heartbeat. The cultural work that we do is the heartbeat, Benny, of the work. Absolutely. And we can't put one foot in front of the other without constantly doing cultural work. So I want to start with North Carolina's Piedmont laureate, Dasan Ahanu. Dasan is a scholar, an activist, an organizer, an academic, and the founder and leader of the Bull City Slam team. And beginning in January, will be the collective's cultural organizing director. We finna do some things, y'all, in 2024. So thank you, Dasan, for saying yes. And then the other, I'm the co-director, Connie Leeper, of the North Carolina Climate Justice Collective. And my platonic life partner, Jodi Lasseter, is the other co-director. I often tell people Jodi is the reason why I don't give up on white women. And that's keeping it real. Y'all need to thank Jodi for handling all them Karens in the world. All right? And also we have with us the leader of one of our resiliency organizing hubs, Bobby Jones of the Down East Coal Ash Environmental and Social Justice Coalition, who will be helping us as well. And then I do want to acknowledge one of our board members that is here, Lumbee Elder Donna Chavis. And our community and civic organizing director, Ms. Crystal Suggs. And Ms. Crystal was here yesterday, and she'll be here a little later. Oh, there she is. There she is. And Ms. Crystal just heard the news about Dasan, so don't you go telling the other staff. All right? So I want to pass it to Jodi to remind us of some things at Morning Star. Vivette Jeffries Logan, when Vivette did the welcome and the land acknowledgement yesterday, we want to connect the dots for that. And thank you, Benny, for such a warm welcome.
So we want to begin with our profound gratitude to Ms. Vivette Jeffries Logan, Morning Star, for welcoming us profoundly yesterday to this land, to this place, her people's home. She said, welcome. And she spoke so many deep, profound truths around the root of what we are going through as disconnection. So we want to begin with this song about how we come home to ourselves. And from there, we'll move into the good fire. Spirit of the fire, burn in me. Spirit of the fire, burn in me now. Spirit of the fire, bring me home to myself. Hey, 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 Spirit of the water, flow in me. Spirit of the water, flow in me now. Spirit of the water, bring me home to myself. Hey, 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 Spirit of the earth, grow in me. Spirit of the earth, grow in me now. Spirit of the earth, bring me home to myself. Hey, 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 Spirit of the wind, carry me. Spirit of the wind, carry me home. Spirit of the wind, bring me home to myself. Hey, 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 Spirit of the fire, burn in me. Spirit of the fire, burn in me now. Spirit of the fire, bring me home to myself. Hey, 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 oh.
The good fire. There's a fire that feeds us when we're hungry, helps us nourish our bodies and our spirits so that we can face the day. There is a fire that warms us when we're cold, brings comfort to a frigid reality, melting away dismay. There is a fire that gives us light when we're in darkness, illuminates our purpose, helping us find our way. There is a fire that we gather around when we feel we are alone, a ritual of hope for the children of the dust, a way of building connection, establishing bonds, and establishing trust. But what we have built, what we continue to feed, is something that we need to consider. Is it a fire that burns our lands and homes, decimating our hopes and dreams? A fire that floods our streets and neighborhoods, destroying the possibilities of a community? A fire that poisons our seas and our oceans, a product of reckless indulgence, a result of capitalism's lack of compassion and care. Fire that darkens our skies, corrupts the gentleness of a breeze, and ruins the quality of our air. This fire is a fire that devours the past, does it without concern. It is a fire that consumes the present and does it with no accountability. It is a fire that destroys our future and does it with no compassion. It is a fire that is out of control, without regulation and resistance. But what that means is now is the time to build a new hearth.
Spirit of the fire, burn in me. Spirit of the fire, burn in me now. Spirit of the fire, bring me home to myself.
See, we need a fire that we can live with, a fire that understands, a fire that builds us up. We need a fire that lives in us, the fight inside, a beautiful light that can never be put out. We need a fire in our hearts, a radical love, a passion we can't do without. We need to get fired up. I mean, I'm just saying, can you see it? Can you feel it? Does it resonate? Then that simply means that we need a fire that belongs to everyone. A fire that is free. A fire that helps us to take care of this earth. A fire that helps to take care of you and me. A fire that has always been here. A fire that will always be. A fire that burns bright in our spirits. A fire that burns bright in our hearts and minds. One that we know is a glorious gift. I'm talking about a fire that shines, and ain't that a good fire? Ain't it a good fire? I mean, I'm talking about the good fire. Talking about the good fire.
We are rising up like a phoenix from the fire. Come together, spread your wings and fly high. We are rising up like a phoenix from the fire. Come together, spread your wings and fly high. We are rising up. 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 We are rising up like a phoenix from the fire. Come together, spread your wings and fly high. We are rising up like a phoenix from the fire. Come together, spread your wings and fly high. We are rising up. 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 We are rising up.